All right, so we are going to do a quick overview of Sicario and Thicc, which are our two main cinema lifters here at Quad Standard Labs that we build. We're going to run through real quick some basic differences in why each platform might be chosen, as well as just a quick run through as far as cameras for each one, which is a huge deciding factor. So, you're ready to go center lifting and you have a camera and you want to lift it. So, which platform do you use? We've got two different platforms sitting here. We have two different Thiccs specifically for a reason. We'll get to that in a minute. And depending on what your camera is going to depend on which selection you make. Some people will tell you that you can fly whatever camera you want on Sicario, and that's technically true if you would like to figure out how to mount that camera or use one of the experimental mounts that are out there. But what we're going to show you is Sicario was built specifically around a box camera, and it was built actually around the Z Cam and not the Komodo originally. Though when the Komodo was eventually released, it also fit proportionately very well and was very easy to adapt to fit the platform. Now, that being said, there's another piece of housekeeping I want to put out there, which is this original design was designed around a 7-inch prop and again, a box camera. Now, towards the finalization of the production version of the model of the frame, Andy extended the arms 2 millimeters in order to accommodate 8-inch props. So that's a real big factor to take into account in the Sicario. Is it is originally built for box cameras on 7-inch props, and if you have that set up, you can position the camera quite well, and you can get the lens, whether you slide the mount forward or backward, you can get the lens where you want it. You can get a positive tilt angle that you need, and you can actually on the mount get a negative tilt angle. So with Sicario and a box camera, you can do all of those things. Now, Sicario again was built around that camera, and it's hard to see from the angle, but the difference between these two platforms is where that camera sits and the entire cross section, how tall it is in comparison with the prop alignment. So the entire weight of everything is really well balanced within the prop line here. That's exactly what Sicario was built around. That gives the performance and the tuning a much tighter window that in really heavy performance moves like dives, power loops, pulling out of curves, yaws, and really aggressive turning, the weight distribution and the tuning that goes along with that in Sicario makes it a superior platform in terms of those really, really high-end, high-performance shots. Now, most people are not shooting that and getting to that edge of the performance, but know that Sicario has that there for you. Now, before we move over to Thicc and talk about the camera options there, I'm going to show you exactly why a DSLR camera is not really going to fit very well in Sicario. So as you can see here, I have a DSLR. Now, this is not one that people are typically using, but a couple of things about it. The lens is actually offset slightly from center on my camera. So some camera bodies are going to be very similar, which means that centering the camera alone is going to be very difficult. Number two, the overall distance typically from the back of the camera to the front of the lens on a DSLR body is going to be much smaller and much shorter of a distance. That means that again, the camera's got to come further out to get that lens out of the prop view, which makes this almost impossible to get where we need it, while also remaining with that nice center balance that we have with the box camera. Even with a longer lens, if the lens were longer, you'd still need to get this thing really far forward. And to get it far forward, you're also hitting now the arms. I don't know if you can see, but I'm hitting the arms with the body. This means it has to come up. Coming up starts positioning it again out of that ideal center of gravity. So if you're taking away and modifying the frame and positioning the camera in a way it's not intended, then you're going to defeat the purpose really of going to a Sicario. So, you know, if you're flying a box camera of any type, Sicario is your best bet. it's going to give you the best performance, the best everything all around, and the positioning. Now again, make sure that you know that you're really going to probably want to run those 7-inch props on those shorter lenses, because when you start putting the 8-inch prop, you might get a little bit of the shadowing or even some of the props in view at certain lower. So 7-inch props, box camera, that's the way that we recommend it. So what if you have a DSLR body? Well, not a big deal. What if you want to fly both? Again, not a big deal. We've got two different Thicc setups here. And we have one that has the traditional mount plate, which is that solid TPU mounted just plate that has a lot of strap holes. This allows you to use the thumb screw from below, like your tripod mounting, and you can mount your camera directly on this mount. You can strap the lens in, you can get it where you want, and this here is going to be your best bet for using any of these DSLR style bodies. So if you want to have negative tilt, positive tilt, all of those things, you can get that with the Thicc on the standard mounting, right? That's one of the ways that we can go. Now, you also could, if you wanted to, you could slap a box camera on top. We've seen it, we've had people do it. This is definitely a way to utilize your Thicc and do it both with DSLR and box cameras. Now, positioning the box camera here is still putting it kind of high, and the differences between that center of gravity that we talked about and the performance is definitely changed on a platform of this nature. So you can see the camera is way up high, the battery is down low. It's not quite as low as it could be to really balance everything, but we try to get everything as close as possible. So this performance window and this tuning, even though you could have the exact same build between this and a Sicario, when you get into those, again, those like 1% top level moves of high performance, you're going to possibly notice that it's got a little less pull out of that, you know, diving the power loop and pulling really hard through those heavy fast corners. But it's still overall tested and tuned, and we've proven that this flight system with any camera can fly quite well. So the differences are going to be really on the sticks and really in those really tight high performance moves. If you want something more versatile, this is going to be your platform. Now we also do have this Thicc here, and the reason we have this Thicc here is we don't have the gab plate mounted on this right now. But if the gab plate was mounted, it's a flat plate that covers the top of this top plate, and so that would allow you to actually mount a camera also, and we have 2 or 3 different 3D prints for that. We have a DSLR print that's a wedge that you can mount it flat, you can mount it at 10 degrees, and you can mount it at 20 degrees, and then you can also stack those and get about a 30-degree tilt. That is a great mount for DSLR bodies. That is just a standard straight, you know, hard mount, and mounts directly to that dampened plate. That takes all the vibrations out and allows you to run that DSLR. Now, if you pull that DSLR print off, we also have prints for Komodos, Z-Cams, and BGH1. I don't have those here to show you necessarily, but basically, again, that would take and mount the camera pretty well about that far. It would be more flat and lower on the profile, and it would allow you to variably tilt still. Now, that mount is great. It doesn't allow for very much negative or very much flat, or it allows for flat but not very much negative tilt. And it's still sitting above the prop line, as you can see, even with the camera just flat on the plate, it's above the prop line. And again, the battery is just inside the middle of the bottom prop line. So you're still not going to get that full balance, but using the gab plate mount, you are taking that center of gravity and bringing it closer to the middle. So you definitely will get a little bit better performance and a little less sloppiness in those, again, high performance moves if you're using the gab plate with whatever camera you choose to pick. So at the end of the day, hopefully this kind of gives you an idea of the differences and why someone would choose one over the other. The real simple answer, like I said in the beginning, is DSLR body, you're going to want a Thicc. If you're running just box cameras, well, definitely would say I would recommend the Sicario. And the last thing I just want to go over really quick is the differences in cost as far as our pricing and how these things are built, tested, tuned, and all of that. Yes, it is basically true that both of these systems are almost identical, if not identical sometimes when we build them in components. The cost of this frame for Sicario is about 3 times the cost of the Thicc frame. That has to do with the way that everything is cut and just literally the physical cost of the entire frame setup is pricey. The factors that also go into this are the technical skills and the difficulty in building the platform. With Thicc, very open, very easy to get everything built and soldered up and even work on it afterwards. If you have an issue when you put it all together and something doesn't work out, we can get in there and usually fix it pretty quickly and easily. With Sicario, it is a fully pretty much closed up system that is almost impossible to open up without basically disassembling the entire frame sections. That is the only way to get to this, low level, small platform, sinking the camera in. There's not a lot of way to get into this thing. So, in building it takes a lot of skill, takes a lot of planning and a lot of knowledge and know-how. Once you get it together, if you got to open it up, it's going to take you some time. And we have to open these things up a few times. Sometimes we take them, we test them, we fly them. Both of these get flown extensively. But the amount of time that definitely goes into this is a lot more. Lastly, when you're buying a Sicario, you're buying a lifetime product from us. You are getting our full refresh support, all of our after sales support, and any upgrading or anything down the line in the future definitely is included with it. So our Sicario owners are, a lot of our extended family, so to speak, not to say that our other clients aren't. And then lastly, with the Thicc, you can add a case, whereas with Sicario, it comes with it. So that's your wrap up. I appreciate you guys watching. Hopefully this helps make some decisions. Talk to you guys later. Peace.